Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the extraordinary meeting of Child Town Council. Please can I take this opportunity to remind you of some important housekeeping matters. Firstly, there's no fire alarm test scheduled for this evening. Therefore, if the alarm is activated, please ensure you leave the building in a calm and orderly fashion through the doors marked fire exit. Please do not use the lift in case of an emergency, and if you are unable to negotiate the stairs and need help, please wait in the fire refuge area. Also, to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, the toilets are situated on the landing on the first floor, and there's a disabled toilet at the bottom. Just to inform you that tonight's meeting will be audio recorded, and then we can start. So, the first item that's not on the agenda but pre-meeting is public participation time. So the first person I have is Celia.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and all other councillors. Thank you for listening to me this evening. It does seem strange to ask a question on an evening that's been called to answer questions. My question does not require an answer, so you can just relax and listen. I attend most meetings, as you know. When I was a councillor, I wanted this kind of engagement from the community of child, and I know that these days it must feel quite different. I actually have consciously made a decision not to speak at these meetings and just to listen. My question is to those councillors that come along and agree with the majority. I would like to point out that this is your opportunity to stand up and be heard. Next week, you get to vote on who chairs committees and who is the mayor of Child. And most importantly, you get to shape how this council operates. If you have already been given a script on how to vote or how this is how things are done and business as usual, then nothing will change. It is correct that there is nothing illegal about asking a majority party to vote all their own people into chair meetings, or even a co-option or who is mayor. This is true, and the ruling party can be predetermined. My point tonight to you is this: it does not have to be that way. If you are being asked to vote a certain way, or you do something without question, you are actually part of this problem, not the solution. You should be voting for the best interests of Child residents, the people who elected you. Child is asking for change, a different and more open approach to local politics, for the council to be more balanced. I'm not here to talk about the report. However, if lessons are not learnt, then nothing will change. There will be another report in a few years' time, and maybe even before you finish your term as a councillor. If you're not part of this solution, then you're enabling them to continue. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Andrea.
I'm going to start off first saying what we're doing is not bullying, it's not harassment, it's us holding you accountable for your actions. It is with great disappointment and deep concern that I stand before you today to address yet again the abhorrent behaviour of our town council. The recent revelation of bullying behaviour among our town council members are unacceptable and a clear violation of the trust placed upon them by our community. Such behaviour has no place in our democratic process, and it must be condemned in the strongest possible terms. Bullying is a form of abuse that can have devastating consequences for those targeted, leading to feelings of isolation, anxiety and depression. It is completely unacceptable that members of the Child Town Council have engaged in such behaviour towards their colleagues. It is deeply troubling that despite the gravity of the situation, the Child Town Council have failed to take meaningful action to address this issue. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions, some council members have doubled down on their behaviour and remained in their posts. refusing to be held accountable for their actions. This lack of accountability is not only a disservice to our community, but it is also a blatant disregard for the principles of democracy and public service. We, as citizens, expect our elected officials to act with integrity and transparency and to put the needs of the community first. Therefore, I call upon the Town Council to make immediate and decisive action to address this issue. They must demonstrate their commitment to upholding ethical standards and code of conduct and take steps to prevent such behaviour from happening again. If they fail to do so, it is our duty as citizens to hold them accountable and demand their removal from office. In conclusion, we must all stand together to condemn the abhorrent behaviour of our Town Council and demand that they take responsibility for their actions. We must ensure that our democracy is safeguarded and that the trust of the community is restored. I've now got 2 questions to follow up on that. Has the nominee for Chartown Mayor been implicated within the Rowley report? If so, why is the nominee being allowed to degrade our community? Second question, those councillors not implicated in the Rowley report, why are you allowing these egotistical narcissists to bring into disrepute your integrity? Thank you.
Thank you. The next person's coming.
Good evening again, councillors, officers and members of the public. My question tonight is simpler than some of the others I've asked. I'm actually asking that we have received various costs and figures for severance pay, judicial reviews, Rowley reports, solicitors' fees over the last 10 years. That's without calculating the time and cost to everybody. What I'm asking for, please, at a later date, obviously, is a breakdown, please, an accurate breakdown. Some of us have spent a long time looking at the figures, trying to backtrack and see how much has been spent. But figures, please, for the last 10 years of the costs to our town in terms of the figures that I have just quoted. The other thing I would like to just ask is, please could your website be updated, as from 6 o'clock tonight when I last checked it, your meeting for next week I see starts at 6 o'clock, which I'm very glad I spotted when preparing for tonight's meeting. So if the website could change, please, so that members of the public know it's not starting at 7. Thank you very much.
So we're going to get the finance officer to have a look and see what she can do for you, if that's okay.
That's fabulous.
Thank you very much. And I've got Connor Payne, and then if anybody else would like to speak, doesn't matter if they're not on here. Thank you.
Evening, councillors. Firstly, I'd like to pay tribute to one of my dearest friends, Mike Lewis, who passed peacefully at his home yesterday. My thoughts are with his wife Pauline and their family. Mike was a South Somerset District Council councillor and Somerset Unitary councillor who dedicated his life to helping young people and serving the residents of Somerset. In the 2022 to 2023 financial year, expenditure over £500 concerned many local residents. I'm here to ask a few questions, very short questions, regarding the Council's expenditure on behalf of those concerned. This document, which I have in front of me, details that expenditure over £500. The Market Town Investment Group is mentioned 12 times in the document as a nominal code description which, judging by other nominal codes, is what section of the budget the transaction was taken from. Considering that the Market Town Investment Group could only offer a maximum of £20,000 to each parish or town council upon application, which must then be spent within 12 months from the date the grant was received, how then has the Town Council managed to spend nearly £100,000 on Market Town Investment Group projects in the last 12 months from April 2022? A Market Town Investment Grant of £20,000 was awarded to Chard Town Council, which was done so to assist with the purchase of £12,000 worth of Christmas lights for the town. Christmas lights were put under Christmas Lights, not Market Town Investment Group, in this document. So why did the Town Council not pay for Christmas lights using some of the £100,000 spent on other Market Town Investment Group projects? Why are the declarations of interest still not being made available to Chard residents? Why did South Somerset District Council never receive the declarations of interest for a councillor who, by the time the council ceased operations just last month, had served on this council for 22 months when it is a legal requirement to publish that DOI? Why have Somerset Council still not received a copy of those declarations of interests for their councillor? Has a councillor voted on or approved contracts without declaring an interest in the last 24 months? And finally, the procurement process of the Town Council, as per the standing orders, is designed not to favour one potential contract over another by taking several steps and processes to prohibit unfair advantage. Can the residents of Chard be reassured that the procurement process, as per the standing orders, has been followed to the letter? And if so, why then has a councillor not submitted a declaration of interest to any higher authority for the 24 months that they've been a councillor, when over £22,000 worth of contracts has been awarded to one of their parents? How is it that these contracts have been awarded to the chairman of a neighbouring parish council that has shares of the cemetery he is being paid to maintain? This would be a direct conflict of interest, surely. I will hand a copy of these questions to the proper officer to respond to. However, I would appreciate some responses this evening, if that is possible. Thank you.
Obviously, without Gail, we can't answer them, but Beverly will take those for you. Thank you.
If I could have a copy of your questions, I've just noted that down, please, because we have.
That's fine, thank you.
Ross, excuse me, I'm wrong, thank you.
Hi, I wasn't going to speak, but actually I've got a question that builds on the question that Pauline Lawton expressed. And the question is, all that expenditure, what I want to know is, what is this council going to do to prevent such futile expenditure and waste of our money in the future?
I'm going to have that. So I'm guessing that if we follow the recommendations in the Royal Report, that should sort that out.
No, it's not.
Well, I can ask the finance officer, who is in charge of all of our expenditure, so we are not personally able to sign, well, we sign the cheques, but two of us do it, and it's under the guidance of the finance officer. Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Thank you, Anne.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to have a quick discussion about trust and how democracy in this country is based solely on trust. We must trust the people we appoint to do the job they're asked to do. Now, we've had several reports over several years, and the problem hasn't been rectified. It's the same problem. As noted in the Rowley Report, it's the same problem every time. We've trusted this council repeatedly to deal with this issue, and it hasn't happened. The problem has persisted, it's eroded the trust in the council, and this council spent inordinate amounts of our money trying to deal with this problem. So, how are you going to convince us to trust you to get this problem sorted? Thank you.
Sorry, Kat.
I must admit, I'm glad that I'm not a councillor, a Chard Town councillor at this time. I would be embarrassed to be a councillor at this time for Chard with everything that's going on. The question that was just asked by Ms Ross Hall was asking regarding the money that has been spent on severance packages, not the running cost of the town council with the normal cheque signatories. I think we as a public have the right to know, and I know some of the packages were done in confidential statement to each individual person that has had a severance package, which I think reaches double figures and more in the past 10 years, with the amount of officers that we've had come and go within this town. 8 town clerks in 10 years, I think we must break the record. Some of the activities that were going on at this town council for Chard wouldn't even make a storyline for EastEnders because they would think it was too far-fetched. I was one of the longest serving councillors on this council for 27 years, and I think I did a good job even if I am blowing my own trumpet. There was a great deal of work with everybody when I joined the council all those years ago. We worked together, it didn't matter which political party we belonged to. But now it seems it's a them and us, and that has been going on for several years. So as I said, I'm glad I'm not a councillor. I can now speak my mind a bit more than what I did before. So the severance packages from the finance officer, we don't expect you to say that Joe Blogg's got £25,000 and John Smith got X. What we would like to know is the total over the past years from the first town clerk's package to the present one that has just left, and all other officers in that time that left with a severance package because of bullying, intimidation and everything else that went with it. So that is the question we're asking.
Thank you. Okay, guys, moving on to the agenda. So, item 2023-53, apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence, please?
Yes, I have 3 apologies: Councillor Baker, Councillor Brown, Councillor Watson, 4 apologies, and Councillor Hashim.
All members agree to approve those? Thank you very much. So item 2023-54, declarations of interest under the Localism Act 2011 and in accordance with the Council's Code of Conduct, members are required to declare any interests which are not currently entered into the members' register of interest. Are there any declarations of interest on the item on the agenda? Okay, thank you. To resolve to exclude any members of the press and public, and there are no items. So moving on to item 2023-56, council matters. To consider and agree a council collective corporate response to the questions raised at the public participation at the full council meeting the 29th of March 2023 relating to councillor conduct, and to publish the agreed response on Chard Town Council website. So I was just talking to Adrian. So this is the advice that we've had from our legal advisors that needs to come from the corporate body. So that's why you haven't had the responses yet. So no one person, as you know, can answer for the council. So we have the questions. I don't know how members would sorry, if you want to go through them one by one, or sorry, I don't know if you went to an actual meeting now. So Tim?
Yes, Madam Chairman, if we could go through them one by one. Some members would like to make a comment and some of them will just go through it. Thank you.
Is everybody happy with that?
Sure.
Okay, so question 1 is what does zero tolerance in bullying mean to you? That's the council. So I did actually today go on our website and pull this off. So some of you will have it. I just wondered if that would be our answer, but I'm happy to tell
That's enough.
Just because the website says it doesn't mean you actually adhere to it.
So happy for questions, please.
Yeah, I'll get the ball rolling. Civility and respect is an excellent idea and actually goal that we should be trying to achieve. But I think, and I actually believe this, I don't think there's any single councillor here present tonight, well actually that isn't present tonight, that doesn't think that bullying should progress, shouldn't go on and actually should be dealt with disciplinary, which we don't appear to be able to do, but we cannot progress any further at this point of view. We cannot start off without actually clearing down the decks from a previous time.
Can I just say that the question we're asked to answer is what does zero tolerance in bullying mean to the council? So I think Dave and Jason will have some.
Quite frankly, Madam Mayor, the answer that we've got in front of us here doesn't actually answer the question. I mean, if we shouldn't be actually standing up for condoning bullying because the simple fact is it has happened in the past. The answer is portraying what we're going to do in the future, but the thing is, what's happened in the past does not just rest in the past. It needs to be dealt with, otherwise it will happen again.
Jason, please.
I think if you look at all of the questions that have been asked, they're based around the Nolan principles, the 7 Nolan principles. You look at these questions, they nearly all mention one of the Nolan principles. The draft answers we've been asked to look at actually violate all of them.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're being asked to look at these as serious answers. This stop bullying, fantastic, it's beautiful, but there's no teeth anywhere. And as Councillor Palmer said, unless we address what's happened in the past, unless we are accountable for that, unless people hold themselves responsible for their actions in the past, we will not move on as a council. We will not trust each other. These people will trust us. So just to say, okay, there's a line under it, we're going to sign this, and away we go. It's still the same people. There's no accountability. There's no contrition. There's been absolutely no contrition for any of this, and that's what I find appalling.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As well as the rolling report at the time that the previous part left, due to the accusations of bullying, then we actually had considered the monitoring officer, which we're more liable to is it monitors us, they monitor our behaviour, and that monitoring officer found no evidence of that incidence of bullying. So to say that there isn't a comeback, there is a comeback. If it was found to be bullying, then there is a comeback with that. We all are held to account.
So there's not a problem, is what you're saying?
Sorry, can I say that if you carry on, the meeting will close and everybody will give their own point of view. So the question on the table is what does zero tolerance in bullying mean to you? If you're not able to answer that question, then we'll move on to the next one. But we need to give these people an answer. I'm not bothered if everybody's happy with that answer. Like I'm not bothered if it's what's on here or what's on here or anything else. But
You're not bothered. We're not bothered. Right.
please, sir. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to correct Councillor Bates. Actually, the monitoring officer looked at the last set of complaints. That was only from 8 people. That didn't actually cover the whole of the decade time period that we're looking at. As an answer for tonight, definitely we are going to take on the civility and respect. We have to, as we adopted the Nolan principles in 2012. But as Councillor Hawkson and Councillor Palmer stated, we do need to be looking at a mechanism within the whole of NAUC to actually making sure that we're going forward, because this is cropping up not only here in Chard, but right the way across the country. So, yeah, we adopt these principles, but we do need to be looking at going further still. Thank you.
Could I ask, sorry, I will continue this. Could I actually tell you, are you proposing that the action review is sufficient on this? If not, would you like to come up with something else? I'll give you a couple of minutes from Mr. Jason.
Thank you. In terms of the question, the actual question itself, taken individually, yes, the answer is sufficient. But our problem lies with the comeback from that question. Because although the body report spoke to 35 people, I know personally of at least 3 people who refused to speak to him. 2 because they were so traumatised by incidents of the past and they didn't want to relive them. And 1 because they actually feared the repercussion of them taking part in that investigation. Now, how do we redress those people? How do we make those people feel confident that the council's active? How do we move forward there? So yes, as a single answer, perfectly fine.
This one?
Perfectly fine. And I'm prepared to propose it as a single answer to a single question. It doesn't address any of the others, and my objections to those will come up when we cover them. But the people who have felt bullied in that time, they need more redress than this. And so while there's no sanction to the code of conduct, it's down to the individual councillors who have been named to actually act in their own conscience, because there's nothing else we can do. So in reply to one of the questions that came from members of the public is that we should all be ashamed. Yeah, I feel embarrassed, but I'm powerless as you are. It's only the only people who can actually stand up and make changes to council, the people who are indicted in that report, to stand up and take responsibility for it.
So, Councillor Hawes, can you tell me where those people are named, please?
Sorry, where those people are?
Where they're named.
We'll come on to that, they're not named, that's the thing, but they can self-identify. Sorry, they can self-identify. All of us have been able to self-identify by referring back to Chris Wally. So anyone who's not taking that opportunity, either willfully or blindly not doing that on purpose.
So are you happy to propose that that the officers take an answer from this document?
As the answer solely to this question, yes.
Thank you. And that's what we're here for, members. We're not here to stand up and grandstand or anything else. We're here to answer these questions. That's what we're here for. Tim, just a minute. Could I just ask? Can I have a seconder, please?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You need to talk any more on this item?
Only to say that we're not grandstanding, Mr. Mayor. We're actually getting our chance to speak. I think over the previous meetings, the public have had a chance to speak, and I think our hands have been tied because we're not talking about things that aren't motions on the agenda, and it would be improper and unprofessional to speak about something that wasn't an opportunity. This probably is our only opportunity to actually speak and get our view across. So it's not grandstanding. Thank you.
Okay, so you have a proposal and all those in favour, please. Thank you. All those against? Abstentions? Okay, so moving on to question number 3, does this council have leadership? Question 2 is not a question, sorry. So question 3, does this council have leadership? Would anyone like to talk on this?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm one of the newer councillors, you could call us. And I've seen 3 town clerks due to temporary and standing in and leaving for various reasons, and 3 in that short term is quite a lot. So I'm very much looking forward to our new town clerk. The selection process has been, we're very confident he has the skills moving forward. He's a local chap who has really got I can't wait for him to start. And I'm confident that putting in the processes that we're going to agree on in this meeting and agree to working together that we can create a new moving forward, an environment for a new town clerk to give this town the council it deserves and lead us forward. Okay, so I'd like to propose that as the answer that is accepted.
Is that a second then, please? Okay, so proposed by Victoria, seconded by Andy.
Can we debate it here?
I'm sorry,
I was putting my hand up for the debate on this.
yeah, that's fine, I was going to come to you. And I'll come to
I don't think you were, like we did last week.
Steve, would you like to speak? When you wanted to speak last time, it was in public question time, now we're in thank you.
Yeah, and you still didn't come to me just then.
Dave, would you like to speak now? Thank you.
Again, I feel it's the wrong answer. I agree that we actually need a strong town clerk. I look forward to the appointment of the new town clerk, but leadership also comes from the councillors. The simple fact is, what we've gone through over several years now is a bullying culture. It's not going to go away until the three councillors, all that will be not named, but do resign, so they should resign. Now.
Thank you, Jason.
I think we misinterpreted the question. Does this council have leadership? I don't think the person who asked that question was asking if the council officers have leadership. I think they were asking if the elected council has leadership. And therefore answering that we've got a new clerk and well, hey, everything's great, that's not really covering what was being asked. And so I can only speak from my own experience of the last few months is that the leadership of this council has been silent. There's been an absolute vacuum since the report came out in terms of speaking both to the council and to the public. So I would say yes, the council has leadership because it has a hierarchy and it has a structure. Does it currently have effective leadership? No.
Hi, thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't normally speak, so please bear with me. When it comes to leadership, over the weeks, we have been hearing, we had the definition of bullying, we have public participant, we have going over and over and over, week after week, having meetings, extraordinary meeting, but getting nowhere. I just want to ask everyone, and that's my fellow councillors, that how long are we going to continue to put the plaster on something which need an operation? Because unless it is painful to do an operation, but we cannot continue to put a plaster over something and pretend that it is going to heal itself. I think it may be the time for the leadership, because people are now questioning me, who actually voted for me, what is going on in the council. And I said, we have got another meeting. So I would like to request that when it comes to leadership, we need that leadership that can answer the questions the public has been asking. And that this is our council. They made us the council, the public. So I would like to ask and request the strong leadership will only come when we work all together. Thank you.
Okay, so we have, we have had a proposal and a seconder. So I would like to move to a vote, please. So all those in favour of question 3, please raise their hand. So the answer in here in blue, the volume report has praised the selection process leading to the appointment of the town clerk. If you're happy with that answer, if you're not, we'll have to come up with another one. It's not sensible. 2, all those against, 5, and abstentions. 3. So somebody would like to come up with an answer?
answer is no.
No is the answer, that's fair enough.
So do you propose that as a...
If no one else is going to propose anything and we have to have an answer, that's my answer. So I propose that as an answer.
Does that second it? Anna? And all those in favour? This is a council report response. All those against? If you abstain, that's the answer.
Yeah, you're done.
Okay, thanks very much. That, you will need a new chairman because I am standing on chairman from this moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well then, guys. Well done, people. Excellent choice. Are you resigning, sir? Resign, don't be so stupid.
Oh,
When
I'm
there's
stupid,
a
am I?
councillor there that was reported 6+ times, in other words, he qualifies in the Raleigh report for being one of the bullies. And not one word from you people has been said against that man. One word. We're giving him to show that he's the bully.
Excuse me. Think we just see them. Excuse me. Excuse me.
What's it say?
Thank you. If this is going to carry on, I'll call the meeting to a close.
Please, keep on.
So, thank you.
Everybody just sit and keep calm and listen. Okay, we want to hear what's being said.
We have.
So, councillors present, so now we have to propose a seconder for a chair for this meeting for it to carry on. So can I put that forward to councillors, please?
I propose Gary to chair this meeting.
Right, could we have a vote on that, please, councillors? 4 and 9. Keep your hands up, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 for. Against? Abstain. Any abstain? Yes, that doesn't work. That's right there, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay. Take minute.
Well, I didn't expect that, but I'll try and do my best and get you through it. If members of the public, if you could just be quiet, please, that'd be great. Thank you. Right, where did it get to? So, Okay, councillors, we're now on to question 4, which is will persons identified in the report as identified as failing constantly short of Nolan principles / conduct, code of conduct resign. So you've got A, if not, will the mayor call upon persons to resign? B, will the council give us the public date the report will be published? And that's obviously already been done. So I'll put it open to the floor. Yeah, Jason.
Thank you.
I'm not the mayor, Jason. So
No, thank you. I'm happy to stand with the chair. I just want to set the record straight there. For my last answer, I was not attacking anybody personally. I don't think we've been effectively alleged in this process. That was my answer, and it wasn't intended as any disrespect to either of you who on this question, I think, as I've already stated, the answer to this lies with the conscience of the people who can self-identify from that report, because none of us have got any other power to do anything. It's entirely up to them. The mayor can't force people to resign. They can't be sacked. The code of conduct doesn't really allow for effective sanctioning because the code of conduct doesn't really come into play in this process. So really the answer can only be that it lies with those people's individual conduct.
You speaking?
Oh, sorry.
Are you speaking, Dave?
Yes, I am. The answer that was given in the set of answers that we were given quotes paragraph 3.3 of the Raleigh report. Only a single sentence of that. It doesn't quote the rest of it. And it wouldn't be right if I read out the whole lot of that paragraph, but the rest of that paragraph actually does somewhat go the other way. So, really, again, it's not the complete answer. Okay?
Tim?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just reiterating, I guess, what everybody else has already said. We've had no acceptance of fault, no apologies, no accountability, no offer of resignation. I mean, there is an avenue that can be taken, which I contacted Chris, as I felt it was the most longest serving of the Greens to find out if we were needed to change our actions or obviously resign, which we would have to do. And I think this is a way forward. I think a lot of us were hoping that the mayor would contact Chris and get the names of the councillors, and then she could approach them. And at least they would be aware, because at the moment, a lot of people, I think there's a lot of councillors don't really understand who's at fault, who it could be. Well, it's not me. We're all looking around the room. Must be someone else. Where's Andy? But that would start the ball rolling. I think then if people could actually be aware of who is at fault. And that is the only way really of going forward to start to rebuild. Otherwise, it's just we're all in denial. Nobody knows.
Andy?
Thank you, Gary. I am very new to this. I was voted in last May, so this is my first ever council. Since I've been on the council, this report has been going on. I'm 1, 2, 3. There's 4 of us who are brand new to this council, and everybody was saying their pieces about how this has gone on for decades. Yes, I've lived in Chard for 10 years. Yes, I've heard about different things happening. I stood on the council to help Chard, not be part of the problem. I agree with what Tim says. If this isn't rectified, it's going to have to be stripped right back to the boards and re-elected. And somebody said something earlier on, Banner. We were elected by Chard. They trust us. And for weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been listening to my party and others going on about different things. But I think it's time that we did listen to the public now and give them the proper answers they need. And that, if that does mean that people resign, step down, and we have to go to re-election, then I'm happy for that.
Any other members wish to speak? I think really could do with some kind of proposal. Jason?
Sorry, did you go?
I think we need the total of 3.3 in the answer of the Raleigh report.
Okay.
Not just the relevant one relevant sentence.
So can Dave?
Am I allowed to read it out? It's got
not the whole
bit. No, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So basically, let me just get it clear, Dave. So basically, you're saying question 4 the answer should be that the whole of the Raleigh report is included in that answer. Paragraph 3.3 is included, and that's your proposal.
Yeah.
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 Jason, you.
I'd just like to add to that. Okay, the question does ask, will those people resign? If not, will the mayor call upon those people to resign? I'm not suggesting the mayor calls upon those people to resign, but in line with what Councillor Aiken said, the mayor can help identify those people in case they're unaware themselves, and then it should be down to their own conscience, and maybe that the whole of paragraph 3.3, along with that statement, should be our answer.
Yeah.
If you were seconding that, then you've made sort of like a counter proposal on that.
Or more
So which one?
I think Councillor Hawks was actually suggesting, both parts of it, all of it. Am I right?
Yeah, so paragraph 3.3 in its entirety, followed by a statement that the mayor can help these people self-identify and ask them to act on their own.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's been proposed, it's been seconded, that's what's on the table. Can I show of hands for those in favour? It's unanimous. Right, thank you for that one. So moving on to question 5. Does the council care about taxpayers' money? Do you care you have cost us running up to £250,000, approximate cost based on the following: payments to town clerks, judicial review due to incorrect voting, wasted time of staff, Raleigh report, solicitors' advice regarding what parts of the rule can be published. How does this sit with your conscience? So, members. Jason?
Sorry, it's going to be I think the answer we've given there says that the report recognises that in the past some poor staffing appointments were made, but praises the process of recruiting the new town clerk. I think that really, once again, at risk of repeating myself, fails to answer any of the questions, because once again it refuses to accept or to take any accountability for the contents of the Raleigh report and suggests that poor staffing appointments led to those people leaving. That's just, I don't know what to say. To suggest that all those people left because we made some poor staffing appointments. Not that anyone was at fault, not that anyone takes, responsibility for their behaviour towards those people that made them leave. I just, well, I'm lost.
Thank you, Gary. Again, like to carry on what Jason said, it doesn't answer the full question, but again, repeat more. Tim said, sorry, it was you, Tim, and Andy said, a lot of us were new and can't answer the questions to take responsibility of that. So as the whole council, this is the question is asked of us whole, the corporate body of the council now. And so we taking responsibility for things that happened when we weren't here, and also going to look forward to things that are going to change in the future, because that's what we have to do as a council, because that's what you signed up for, that's what you're elected to do. You don't just get a completely clean slate, you take on what was there before. So I think it doesn't answer the full questions, but I don't know if we will be able to, if that makes sense, in any other way. Simply because we weren't here, some of us, and that's the way the councils are. They are rolling and ever changing. So, yeah, we're not blaming everything on just poor process of staff, and that actually we've considered the legal advice which must be paid for, and I think that's what it comes down to, is we're not HR or legal experts, and because we're a council body, we've had to do that and make those decisions together, even if someone didn't agree with it. If the majority agreed, we had to do it. And then moving forward with that might be decisions that were made before any of us were even councillors. So I think this answers it the best we can, or if anyone can propose anything different.
Mr. Chair. Definitely. I don't think we should actually put a statement about more staffing. Some of you more senior councillors have met a lot of clerks. I've known a couple of the ones that we have lost, and our previous one was, in my opinion, an excellent clerk. Do we care about the way the funds and the money is spent and used within the council? Absolutely. When it comes down to budgeting and us needing those funds for doing the things that we're all passionate about within charge for everybody, and if it comes out it is £200,000 or something, oh my word, what we could have done with that. So yes, the answer is yes, we do care very much so how the money is spent. The horse is bolted on this, we can get that money back. But we need to make sure that we are doing our best to make sure that it never happens again, we don't lose more money.
I'll answer the questions myself as an individual, because quite simply, does the council care about taxpayers' money? Yes, definitely do. I don't think there's anybody in this council chamber that doesn't care about council taxpayers' money, because it's their hard-earned money. Ultimately, it's part of a big bill each household has every year, not just in Charlotte, but the rest of the country. How does it sit with my conscience? Well, I think I'll just explain that particular point. I'm very conscientious when dealing with public money, because there needs to be proper accountability when we do actually spend it. Okay.
Thank you. Can somebody give me a very simple
I'll read my personal answer as well, because for the members of the public who are here, these questions were sent round to all councillors, and because none of us can actually answer for the council, this is why we've got this meeting, so we can agree a collective response, because none of us have the power to speak for the council. But I did write my own answers back to the officer who sent them around, and I wrote, while my personal conscience is clear, there's very little I can do about what's happened in the past. It demonstrates that the council is not acting in the best interests of Charles, and that's something we must all live with and all work to remedy. I think that's the basis of the answer.
Yep.
I just ask for some clarification, because I'm getting a bit muddly in my notes. Thank goodness we've got the audio tape. I think, Jason, just for clarification, you're saying something very similar to Tim. So the first part of the answer is yes, you do all absolutely care, and that you have got to learn from the mistakes from the past to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yes.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Jason, are you happy with that as a proposal? Absolutely. Yes. Do I have a seconder? All those in favour? Moving on to question 6, which says not related to conduct of the council. Right. Okay, so question 7A. If the council publishes the report with names redacted, will those who are identified resign? And the answer? Okay. So no names were actually mentioned in the Raleigh report. Whether people can identify or think they can identify people, that's down to the individual. And B, why does this council keep running from accountability? Seeing the answers. Tim?
Yeah, I'll start with Mr. Chairman. As the answer has been given by the Mayor, no names were mentioned in the Raleigh report, and as we requested earlier, that we would like the Mayor to actually ask Chris Raleigh to get those names. We do not know as councillors who those three are. So again, and why does the council keep running from accountability? I think there's a lot of us here, I think the majority of us here actually are trying to get this sorted. It does feel like a very slow process. But I am under the illusion or disillusion or whichever, but I think we are going to get there eventually. I think we will sort this out. We have to. We cannot carry on like this for 4 years.
Yeah, Jason.
I vote again in my personal answer. I don't think the council as a whole is running from accountability, but our policies and procedures, which not everyone will understand, and the things that we're legally bound to do and not to do, and how, say answers given at a committee, then have to go to a full council and then have to be enacted, and it's not a quick yes/no answer. That our accountability is also to our own legal profession, our own code of conduct that we or as a corporate body have to abide by. So I don't think we as a whole are running from accountability, but it probably looks like it.
I agree with Tim and Jason that this has got to change for the better, or it's just going to be to say that they're going like swings and roundabouts, we're going to go round and round and round, up and down, up and down. Like Jason, I'm new to this again, and I keep using it as an excuse. Are we rallied? Have I been pushed to one side? Have I been led? I don't know. I've got my own mind, but is it time that I start speaking up for my own mind? And start leading my own path forward. And tonight, looking at this, I think it's the best way forward is for us all to basically just get on with each other and work together as a council, not individuals.
Do you mind if I get Bella to try and summarise what's been said? And then we can try and get an answer out of it.
It's really always straightforward.
Listen,
So, there were three parts to that question, and I'm hearing that all of you seem to feel that the first part is not applicable anymore because the report's been published. Part B, running from accountability, the answer is no, although it may appear that way. You don't feel you are running from accountability. And that Part C, we didn't actually touch on Part C, which is why I was questioning it. It says if the council do vote to redact names from the report or those indicated, well again that's past tense because there were no names. So the bit about the accountability is the answer is no, with the additional bit that Andy was saying and Tim, which is we need to be better at working together. So the council isn't running from accountability. Some of the processes and procedures may make it look that way, but we absolutely want to work together going forward to make things better.
Yes?
Yeah. Full stop.
I think from my long association with this council is nothing ever goes quick in council. It doesn't matter which council it is. You know, it's like slower than a snail. But I think intentionally the council isn't running away from accountability, but the mechanisms in which to give information about that accountability make it seem so it is, because it's so slow coming forward. So, can anybody just give me a very summarised, quick? Yeah, we're accepting Beverly's.
Yes. Yes.
So can I have a proposal in a second, please? All those in favour? Yes. Thank you. So moving on to question A. Can council live with themselves knowing the consequences of bullying?
This is such a broad subject, and I am aware that there are councils that maybe for some reason aren't privy to some of the things that have gone on. I had a whole list of things. I'm not going to mention half of them because some of the people here I wanted to actually say them in front of them, but they're not here tonight. There's nobody except bullying. Nobody wants to be bullied. Those who are bullied at school, this isn't the bullying that you receive in council, or not even in council chambers. It happens outside, and it is very, very subtle and very sly. This has to stop, from whether it's blocking councillors coming into public buildings, reporting them to the police, reporting them to SSDC, or not, as the case may be, saying that they are, but it never really happens. In the meantime, it's playing on your mind. These things have happened. There are individuals that have actually made other councillors' lives hell, and it has to stop. And I know that we can work together. I'm seeing some wonderful people here that really want to make a go of it. And we forget Greens, Lib Dems, Independents, and we all work together and we vote for the best person. We no longer go down party lines. And we just say, yeah, that's the best person for mayor, that's the best person for that chairman role, or co-option, or whatever it is, and that's how the councillor will improve. We won't then just be following a single route, we'll be getting the best of the town coming forward. We want to be part of the council. So, but back to bullying, no, not acceptable in any way at all. And can we live with the consequences of it? I don't think we can. And once again, we cannot go on. So I think this is start something new, hopefully.
Jason, you.
I think Dave was before me.
Okay. Sorry, what else? Go on, Matt.
Yeah. Thank you, Chairman. Just to bear there for a second. It's a strange one for me to answer because I've almost just been called a bully. If I am a bully, I do apologise. I apologise to the members of the public who feel I'm a bully. I have been a victim of bullying when I was a little boy, for example. Yeah. In the last few years, definitely. Yeah. So it's a difficult one for me to answer. If I feel like I've been bullying somebody else, I'd like to be told that I've been out of order, and then I can apologise discreetly to the person that I might have offended. Thank you.
I think it's quite a complex question, actually. Can council live with the consequences of bullying? Because the consequences of bullying to the bullied continue, with or without redress. They affect people's mental health and physical health for years to come. I think, from a council point of view, the consequences of being a bully are zero, unfortunately. Because the code of conduct that we sign up to, which is a national code of conduct, was watered down by the incumbent national government because one of their own local councils behaved so badly and that person was willing to be protected. And that's unfortunately what we all live with. You know, that one now government minister behaving so badly as a local councillor led to our own code of conduct, our own national code of conduct as local councils being watered down to the point where it's got no teeth. So short of a criminal investigation, criminal procedures, there is no sanction for a councillor for poor behaviour. So can we live with the consequences of bullying? As someone who's been bullied, you can't. As a council, we can't do anything about it, because it's always going to be down to the individual conscience of that person once they've been called out. So it's a very difficult question to answer. Sorry, muddy the water a bit further.
Thank you. It's going to be really hard. I'm sorry. I'm going to try not to cry. It's really difficult because we really care, and I don't think anyone really cared more than the lady who was stood there and who today had to stand down. I can feel her pain. To say that there isn't a lead of the council that we've been led, no, we haven't, but we haven't for a while. But she stood up to be the leader again, to try and lead. So if that's not bullying, again, in real terms, I don't know what it is. And yes, the public participation, you have every right to hold us accountable. But for every person you feel you're talking to, you're also talking to someone who isn't the bully, who isn't thinking we are a council body, we'll have to stand here and take it. And it's very, very hard. We're not all made with really thick skin. We're here because we really care, and we have lives, we have people we love and people we care about. So then when you know you have to leave to come here and know that you are going to have to stand up and say difficult things and perhaps listen to things that are a bit difficult. So I'm sorry for getting emotional, but I really, really care about this. It just doesn't seem to show. People who do gladly appreciate what the councillors, every single councillor on this council do right now, including the ones who aren't here, and especially the ones who've had to meet you, they're not here in support because they don't even know that they have to. So actually the support comes when people go to the voting polls and they elect you to speak for that community. And then when you get the opportunity to do something good, it's brilliant. But then to have a few people calling the council, all of us out, all of us are bullies, we're hiding behind things that we're not accountable, it really hurts. So you get to go away and regroup and try and call on each other, to try and reach out to each other. I know that our mayor who was sat there has approached every single councillor to try and work together. And if it hasn't worked out or time hasn't worked out, then we can't then turn around and say it isn't working because of our own consciences, our own thoughts and feelings get in the way. It's really, really hard. It's
It's really hard not to swear, but I'm trying to do really well. So actually, the consequences of bullying, can we live with ourselves? Well, hopefully no one is going to do anything to end their lives today. I work to help coach people, I work with mental health, I work with people who have previously attempted attempts on their lives. And I hope that no one has to feel like that not anyone in our town feels so desperate that they don't feel they can carry on. But actually, for someone who might have devoted 20, 30 years of their life in working for this town to then be told, leave, are we bullying or not? So actually, can we live with ourselves with bullying? No, I hope none of us could live with ourselves for the consequences of bullying, but I hope that no one does anything to hurt themselves as well. Okay? I'm sorry, Gary, I'm sorry, that doesn't make it any clearer.
Yeah, to kind of stick with Victoria and try not to get down, but just to remind you, maybe go back and read Martin Carnell's resignation letter. Yeah.
That's a completely separate point, because he isn't here. He hasn't had to be in this report, he wasn't a member of it. So actually, yes, he spoke, but he's no longer part of the council. So it doesn't, that's completely separate.
It's not, it's very relevant to what you just said, but just...
I still need it.
No, we can't live with ourselves. We can't live with ourselves with the consequences of bullying. We are going to take as many actions as possible to ensure it doesn't happen again through clear lines of communication.
I think that more or less says it in the answer to the question. Yeah. So can we just take that the answer to the question as the proposal?
Yeah.
You've got Tim. All those in favour? Yeah. Thank you. Question 9. Can the council honestly say they are open and honest with the public? I think you need a... When we say, is the council open and honest with the public, do we mean the councillors, the office staff, or are you talking the whole corporate body? Yeah? Okay, so we're talking about the whole corporate body. Jason?
I think, I don't know if the public have got the answer, but I think the answer's not bad actually. It says, all formal meetings of the council are minuted and these are available to the public. Certain matters are governed by rules of confidentiality and cannot be disclosed under data protection regulations, e.g. personal matters, commercial sensitivity. I think broadly that's not a bad answer. I think what we don't do very well is actually communicate with the public why that's the case. So when we go into confidential session, there are people who think that we're actually going to be let's get public, and they will be turned down so we can do that. But it's not the case, because we might be talking about someone, a paid council officer's performance review, and you can't do that in front of everyone. We might be talking about someone's pay rise for the year. You can't do that with everybody there. So I think what we need to do is that this is the right answer, but we need to accept that we need to be better at communicating why we have those processes in place.
Agreed. Are you proposing that answer, or do you want to add a little bit?
Yeah, just with the sentence on the end, but we need to be better at communicating what those processes are.
I'll second. Can I?
Yeah, just go.
Andy, proposer and second. Can I leave Beverly to add that bit in the end?
Yeah.
So all those in favour of that answer? Dave?
Yes, Right, question 10. Is this council selfless? Again, corporate body. Yeah.
Sorry, Jason, you just
Again, I'll let the public, because the answer that was written is the council as a corporate body is required to act in the public interest. Individual councils are required to complete and, if necessary, update the members' register of interest. And in the event of a decision being required in a matter where a councillor has an interest, that councillor cannot take part in that decision. I don't think that's a whole answer. As I said earlier, all of these questions revolve around the Nolan principles and actually selflessness being the first of the Nolan principles. And although those are requirements of the council, is it acting selflessly? Have we acted selflessly? Have we acted in our own political party political interests? Have we acted sometimes in our own interests? You know, the idea I kind of developed professionally with a sort of collaborative design model where the whole thing revolves around when you put an idea on the table, it doesn't any longer belong to you. It belongs to the discussion. And therefore, if someone says that's not a good idea, you can't throw a tantrum because it's been debated, it's been discussed. Equally, when that question goes on the table, it doesn't matter if I'm yellow, blue, green, red, pink, brown with purple spots, doesn't matter who that question came from. It doesn't matter who that idea came from. It should be debated on its merits, and we don't do that enough. We don't do that enough, and we need to do that more. And I think that what we're seeing through this process is that those lessons will come out, and we will be a much more effective council, and that we can, at the moment, we cannot say we're selfless, but we can say that we recognise where our problems are, and that we're going to work towards eradicating those problems and hopefully rebuilding the trust of the public.
That's on. Yes, totally agree with Councillor Hall. So I would add to that, there's elements there that could have been done since the release of the Rowley report that members could have done, filled in their register of interest. It still hasn't been done. So it's a simple thing, to do. There's 10 recommendations in the Rowley report. It should be straightforward to move forward. I honestly believe that the 10 recommendations probably don't go far enough anyway, but what the recommendations do raise is the register of interest, and I think that should be done, and they should be done immediately.
I think Beverly wants time.
I think there's two things. One, at the time that Chris was writing the report, there was only one person that was outstanding, and I subsequently got that in the same month, so early February. And then we've had we've had an election, we've had a co-option election since then, so we've had a bit of a delay, not a delay, but there has been a need to change 2 other councillors. I can say that the Somerset Council have, and I do have all of them now. They have all been signed, and there wasn't the delay that perhaps people think there was. There's other reasons for it not happening. I'm trying to say it's not an issue. We've got them all.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say as well. It's not an issue.
Oh, right.
It should.
So we're agreeing.
Yeah.
But are they publicly visible?
They aren't publicly visible at the moment because I've requested with Angela Cox, the DSO at Somerset, could we have the link? As soon as your link is live, can we have it? Because the way it works is they house it all, then they give us a link that goes onto our website, and when you click on that link, you then see them. At the moment, you get a very nasty error message that says access denied, which is not terminology that we chose. That's techie terminology, basically to say that this link is no longer working. But I have been told by Angela this week it's going live very, very shortly. I do have PDFs of all of them, but to put them all up on the website and to take them all down again in a couple of days' time, we're going to have a link that's just going to take you straight to it. That's the reason why it hasn't happened.
Tim?
Maybe an expansion really. I think on what Councillor Hawks is saying is, are we selfless? I think sometimes we're not, and I think we've all witnessed the occasions where maybe an agenda point, is a motion has been put forward and maybe it's been being opposed for the wrong reasons, or somebody knows that someone else is putting an agenda point on, then puts the agenda point on, then pulls it just because maybe they're trying to spite the other person for some reason, or they're going behind the scenes. And I think as Councillor was saying, it's a good idea. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea, and it doesn't matter who puts it forward. Let's just get behind it. So we're not having, hang on, I put that forward. An example maybe of a friendship bench that was opposed by some councillors, brought back in by a different set of councillors, and then it was accepted. Exactly the same bench, but just 18 months between it. So this, again, I think this experience which we're going through, especially the newer ones, is just going to strengthen us, and we can call people out then. And people say, Tim, no, you shouldn't be opposing that, because that was a really good idea, and it doesn't matter who's putting it forward, let's just do it for the community. So.
Still need proposing. Are we happy to take the answer that's there?
Can we possibly add to it again, in those terms that we recognise where we've been at fault in the past, and we will work to what's the word I'm after? Rectify that for the future.
I've got that word here.
Thank you.
Jason, that proposal?
Yes.
Victoria seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. That's the end of the meeting. Thank you. Off on the date of the next meeting is Tuesday, 9th of May.
One last thing, Gary, thank you very much for stepping in, being a brilliant chair tonight. And thank you for everybody for being open and feel like we've actually made some progress tonight. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yes.
Thank you, Chair. And just an afterword as well, because I wanted to.
Can we have a bit quiet, Connor, please?
Sorry, I wanted to just say after the meeting, now the meeting has concluded, to come back and just apologise if councillors do feel threatened, if there is that kind of that feeling that this is not directed to all of you, but understandably the public are very upset that there are 3 bullies, but we don't know who those bullies are, alleged. And you don't like that, of course. And we don't know exactly, no one knows that. So I want to apologise on behalf of the public to councillors who may feel that they are being targeted, but there is frustration from the public, even though those 3 bullies, alleged bullies, are not known by councillors, they're not known by the public either. So please accept that apology.